Hello everybody, I'm Jennifer Lara. Today we will be discussing about American art during the mid-20th century. What was art like in the mid-20th century? We had abstract expressionism, modernist architecture, pop art, and most importantly, American art. American art were reactions based on World War II. Edward Hopper was an American realist in which during the 1940s he captured people's disconnections with one another and means to help demonstrate people's inner feelings. Norman Rockwell's artwork helped symbolize the American culture. He created Rosie the Riveter, where we can observe a woman who is taking over labor. One of the most known photographs taken during the mid-20th century was taken by Dorothea Lange, Migrant Mother, with the intentions to bring awareness in the American economy. Who is Dorothea Lange? Dorothea Lange was an American documentary photographer and photojournalist born in May 26, 1895, New Jersey, and passed away on October of 1965. Dorothea Lange was hired as a printer, photo retoucher, and staff photographer in 1916 in Fifth Avenue, New York City. Her first portrait assignment was the Irving Brokaw family, which helped launch her career as a portrait photographer. In 1917, she started studying photography at the Columbia University in New York City, where she took Clarence White's photography course. Lange began selling her photographs in 1918 as she traveled the world. She decided to settle down in San Francisco, California, where she obtained a job in a photography studio. A year later, she decides to open her own portrait studio where she begins photography for families. During the fall of 1929, the stock market crashes, hence Great Depression, where Lange began photographing the unemployed men who were wandering the streets of San Francisco. Her pictures received immediate recognition from the public and other groups such as Group F64. In this photograph, we can observe Migrant Mother by Dorothea Lange, taken in 1936. Let's discuss the main purpose. Migrant Mother led to the commission in 1936 from the FSA, which stands for Federal Securities Administration. Lange decided to turn her attention away from her studio and focus on her surroundings. She was working for the FSA program during the Great Depression, where she was sent on a mission to help promote FDR's New Deal plan to stimulate the American economy. It was to help raise awareness and provide aid to the farmers who had been affected by the Great Depression. This task was also to help relocate the poor families and drew attention to the rural, poor living conditions. Lange began to take documentary photography. How did Dorothea Lange stumble upon this mother? Lange found herself in a camp in where peas were grown. Lange noticed that the crops had been destroyed, leaving the workers nothing else to pick, therefore no food to support the families. Lange then approached a 32-year-old woman, Florence Thompson, who was an idol picker, sitting in a tent with her 7 children, and asked if she could photograph her with the kids. Lange asked no questions. She mentioned that Thompson had been living on frozen foods from the surrounding fields and birds. She also mentions that she has sold the tires from her car to buy food. Style and techniques used on Migrant Mother. What exactly do we see when we observe this photograph? Is it the facial expression, her kids, their clothing? Look closely. This is a staged photograph. Why was it staged during these horrific times? In order for the New Deal package to turn out successful, Lange had to create pictures of what life was like for the rural people during the Great Depression. It was staged for maximum effect. The picture is intended to show deeply emotion and personal feelings. Let's take a closer look. We can observe the mother's facial expression, where we can sense her worriness. Her hand placed on her chin helps us understand that she is worried and feels helpless. The location of her and her children help us draw awareness to the lifestyle they are living. It is their personal space, in which help emphasize the main subject, their lifestyle. We can observe the children hiding their face. Not only does this help bring the viewer's attention to the mother, but this was also demonstrating the children's social life. Kids are meant to be having fun with one another, full of joy and adventures. However, in this photograph, we can observe the kids looking hopeless, searching for protection from their mom. A baby is observed in the image. This helps draw attention that babies are suffering too. Was the photograph Migrant Mother successful? Migrant Mother, amongst other photographs taken during this era, allowed the authorities to send 20,000 pounds of food to those in need. When the news was out about Migrant Mother, the State Relief Administration delivered food to 2,000 fruit pickers in Naipomo. Migrant Mother helped Dorothea Lange into her success as a photojournalist, even though she claims that she made no profit off of the photograph. Migrant Mother turned out to be the top 100 photographs of the 20th century. Let's discuss about the mother in the photograph, Florence Thompson. Thompson had no profit from the photographs taken of her and her family. She had to work hard for her money, working up to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week at hospitals. Thompson also claims that Lange confused her with another farmer or simply added words to Thompson's story to make it a better story. Thompson knew why she was posing. She was the figure of poverty. She did it because she wanted to help others, not just herself. Including Thompson's car's parts were never sold. Her car had simply broke down and managed to get her car towed into the pea pickers camp where Lange approached her. Lange promised Thompson that her name and photographs would never be published. According to Thompson's daughter, who we can see to the right shoulder of the Migrant Mother, Lange had lied to the family, stating that she was only going to use it to help people in the camp. The Thompson family had left Naipomo in search for jobs. It wasn't until Thompson's son found an article about starving pea pickers of Naipomo when they found out that their mom had been published in an article. Think about this. Do you think we should view the photographs of Florence Thompson's family in a different way if we knew more about the circumstances? Do you think if Lange was truthful about the stories, the images would have turned out to be successful? Thank you, and as always, stay safe.